Hey everyone, welcome back to AI Insights. My name is Fleur Prince. I am your host for tonight to talk to you about all the epic AI news happening in the world, together with Grania.
Hi, co-host here.
And we're going to talk to you about what happened this week in AI because a lot happened again. And as you know, it is one full epic show that you have to watch. So let's dive right in. On the agenda today is the new chips that have been designed that are revolutionizing efficiency. We're talking also about the Grok 3 launch, the Evo 2 model, Microsoft's quantum computing breakthrough, and the YouTube shorts that are being enhanced with generative AI. So,
Hmm.
first up, we're actually going to talk about some of the AI chips that are actually being developed right now because we're seeing like Nvidia's jumping into the games, the Dutch startup Alxera, and around the world we're just seeing so many things happening. But they're also the thing why it's interesting is because systems are now being used to design semiconductor chips, optimizing performance and energy efficiency. And you also see companies like Google and Nvidia are leading in these trends.
Yeah, so I kind of see this as just a reflection of the same trend that, has been happening since kind of the AI revolution started, which is that AI is introduced to some like mechanism of production or just some mechanism and then, increases efficiency, makes it faster. But obviously the first thing that we kind of need to consider, yes, it's going to be faster and better, but kind of what is with the integration of AI, are we replacing humans or like what does this mean for jobs? Or what do these different like stipulations, kind of mean for mean for human production?
Well, I mean, when I think about it, I would say we can, process tasks faster, we can reduce costs, improve scalability when it comes to AI models, which could lead to even more breakthroughs of like autonomous vehicles in healthcare.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we discussed a few weeks ago in the episode as well about that healthcare needs to take a step up, that there already being a lot of AI developments happening in it. But if you could get these AI chips even more integrated into these projects, I'm wondering if you would see indeed more breakthroughs happening also when it comes to like, do you know, for example, that you can make like an AI twin of somebody and have test out certain medicines without actually any humans being harmed?
Yeah, I had no idea. That's really good because that'll like remove animal testing, I think, entirely.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, yeah, because for me, like animal cruelty has always been a thing where I'm always very double standard when it comes to like, okay, I understand why they do it, but
Yeah.
isn't there another way?
Yeah, and now there really is another way. And I'm sure that it's like a million times more accurate as well.
Yeah, and what's also interesting about this is that the accuracy is about, I think the last article I read in BBC was about, like they said, like 87%
80.
accuracy. So I'm hoping that this will be one of the initiatives that will drive the usage of AI chips. Because one thing I think we also saw last week, or actually not last week, it's already been a few weeks ago, that DeepSeek came out,
Yeah, and that's what I kind of
where
meant when I said that this is like kind of reflecting the broader trend because there was DeepSeek, now there's kind of AI design chips, like it's kind of like a race of efficiency and like trying to get like the fastest and best kind of model.
yeah, and also they pretty much showcase that you don't actually need, so this is actually very controversial to this topic, but that you actually don't need the AI,
Yeah.
fancy AI chips to run models, that it can
Hmm.
be simply done on Intel chips or NVIDIA chips that are on regular PCs. I think it could even be run on the Intel Core 1 10th generation I have on my laptop.
Really?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I remember I watched this video and it was kind of describing like the evolution of smartphones. And the first clip was kind of this room of like super huge bulky machines. And that was like the first computers. And then one of the last clips was like a super sleek like iPhone like you would see today.
Hmm.
And it's just kind of crazy like how fast these things evolve and the different forms that they take.
What I also love is right now you see like what I see like from China is not all these different kind of AI models. They're like spitting out one after another. Though I do think there is like a strategy behind it, but at the same time, I also think people are now more watching them as well. to see like,
Yeah.
hey, what are they actually coming up with?
Yeah.
Because
Agreed.
even Alibaba, which I know as how do you call it, like
Yeah.
a yeah, a website that's how do you call it? That you buy stuff on, random stuff like same on Wish.com. I don't buy there from anywhere because everything I buy there breaks. So,
Oh,
but that they also came up with an AI model that was even better than DeepSeek. I think it was
yeah.
Qwen 2.5 or something called like that.
Yeah. You were saying it's hilarious, like the notion of, a site like that producing an AI model. I mean, really, it's kind of saturating every market.
Exactly. But also, I mean, you're still seeing out of the US also stuff coming out as well.
Hmm.
I mean, Grok 3 was also recently launched.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, it was by this company called XAI,
Love it.
where they claim pretty much that it surpassed ChatGPT like in reasoning and factual accuracy. I don't know, have you tried it out yet?
I have not tried it out. Isn't it behind a paywall? Don't you need to have like X premium? Yeah, no, then I will not be trying it out, unfortunately. I think it's ridiculous putting an AI, like, I just can't agree with the concept of putting like a, maybe not basic. I mean, there's like all these claims about the specs and how much better they are than the other models, but like putting like kind of like a baseline ChatGPT-esque AI behind a paywall, I just don't agree with that. Like, I don't know.
No, but I mean also because I think pretty much like people have been preaching the past few years, at least the past 2 years in the eye, that everything should be open source. And now you
Yeah.
see the first companies actually putting up a paywall, being like, "Hey, never mind. Actually,
Yeah.
you're gonna have to start paying for this technology."
Yeah, a really strict paywall. And, that's kind of like it's a turn that the industry is taking. I mean, ChatGPT really set like a huge precedent with being a nonprofit, but even kind of there's an indication that that could potentially shift. Elon Musk, who is the owner of X, made a 97.4 billion bid for OpenAI's nonprofit arm. It was rejected, but, it's kind of like an indication that this not-for-profit standard and the lack of paywalls could take a shift, which is something that I don't agree with. But then again, there's kind of the trade-off of like if we're not paying for these services, are we then paying with data, or are we going it's a question of like profitability and where the profit would come from.
No, true. And also, I think also the comment that Sam Altman made at the time when he rejected the bid was also pretty interesting because he said, "I'm not in it for the money,"
Yeah.
when they're trying to turn OpenAI into a for-profit company. So that kind of also makes it like, okay, you're not in it for the money, but you do want to turn it into a for-profit company.
Yeah, it's a really interesting dynamic, and hopefully it maintains the kind of direction of, avoiding paywalls and also avoiding, large profit incentives or dangerous profit incentives, such as like an exchange of data for like or like monetizing personal data, especially for things such as like like therapy apps, medical apps, things of that nature. If there's so we kind of see this sort of monetization of data in big tech with services such as like Meta. If we see that then also reflected in different AIs, given the integration of AI into every single sector, I think that could be, a bit of a dangerous turn. Or not the best turn, although, I'd be open to having my mind changed on the subject. What are your thoughts?
My thought is I'm always saying it's complicated because indeed, I agree with your point that it always the question will come up, what are you paying with? It's the same
Yeah.
with social media. You're paying using your face, using your behavior, because that's what they sell to advertisement companies. So they know, hey, this person will most likely buy my product.
Hmm.
So indeed, with AI, what's the common person paying that's not paying for the service? So for everything you're
Yeah.
putting into ChatGPT and Claude. But I do think it does have a future in the sense of AI can help people become more efficient, but also alleviate tasks that are remedial.
Hmm.
So the focus can be put on other things, especially when it comes to indeed like important government jobs. I would say if you use AI there,
Hmm.
the focus can shift to other tasks that can help society even more. But also with Grok 3, I mean, compared to ChatGPT and Bard, what I have looked at the research paper and everything, I personally do not agree that its reasoning and factual accuracy is better than ChatGPT.
Yeah.
It might be slightly, but it does not outperform DeepSeek, for example. And
Yeah.
that's an open source one.
Yeah, exactly. Again, like I haven't had an opportunity to, use Grok for myself, given that it is, behind a paywall. But
I also don't have Twitter, so or X.
yeah, there you go. That's a step better than me. I do have Twitter, but I've seen like examples of it being used, but it's almost always in kind of like a sardonic fashion because it doesn't appear to be like a good model. Like the reception that I'm seeing online, and maybe this is just like what I have access to. Maybe there's other like, examples of people praising it, but so far what I've seen online is that it's not a great model. And then also being a function of a different social media app, a more nowadays like less popular, or at least underneath Meta in terms of like user or average usage, being a part of another app and then being behind a paywall on top of that, I could not foresee that as ever being competition to OpenAI or DeepSeek, but that's my perspective, so I'm not sure. And I think we just have to kind of track that progression and see if he does any other, if the CEO of that company and the people directing it are going to lead it in a more auspicious direction, take any like specific, strategic moves. It remains to be seen.
No, and the thing that I'm also concerned about here is like the monopolization of AI as well.
Yeah.
Because a long time these billionaires have like proclaimed like the tech should be free, the tech should be open source. And now you've seen someone make the first step, like being like, "Hey, I changed my mind. Actually, I'm gonna put it behind a paywall. If you want to get
Yeah.
access to the better version, please pay me."
Yeah.
And I, when yeah, like when I know human behavior, I know that people will then seek other methods or look to other models to put into their own AI models.
Hmm.
And that will maybe indeed turn to like DeepSeek and other AI models coming out of Asia
Yeah.
or Africa or so in Europe itself, because Europe also recently launched their own version of ChatGPT called Mistral, right, from the company Mistral. It's called Le
Yeah.
Chat.
You told me, yeah.
It is a French.
Speaking of other models, Evo 2 was just recently launched, a groundbreaking generative biology model. So we were discussing along the lines of how AI affects medicine. So this is kind of on that tangent. And it's able to predict genetic mutations and design synthetic unprecedented
Yeah, genomes.
genomes. Okay, there we go. Sorry.
Yeah, I saw this coming out. It was developed by a team from Arc Institute and NVIDIA.
Oh, NVIDIA, okay.
Yeah, with participation of Stanford University, UC Berkeley, and UC San Francisco,
Hmm.
which was pretty cool because I think the title in SynBio Beta was the one bio AI model to rule them all. And I was
Wow.
like, wait, what?
Yeah, very extreme.
But what's interesting about this is that it's a colossal AI model that's trained on the DNA of like 100,000 species, like definitely spotting disease, mutations, and even crafting new genomes. And I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, that is like a really significant develop, and it kind of displays how interdisciplinary. I mean, we've been saying this throughout the entire episode, but how interdisciplinary AI has become and how integrated. So yeah, super interesting and important to watch.
I mean, definitely. I mean, like under the hood, Evo 2 is like training consumed like several months of compute time on NVIDIA's DGX Cloud AI
Hmm.
via Amazon Web Services. And they were using like more than 2,000 of NVIDIA's H100 GPUs in collaboration with them
Wow.
to do the entire research. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm just wondering also like what can you do with this model?
Uh,
And yeah, I don't know if you've already read about like what do you think that they could do with this?
it kind of goes back to what you were saying that we would eliminate the need for animal testing and kind of like improve testing in general. Having access to all this biological data and having like this increased information Again, medicine is not my discipline, but I think that it would, probably create, a standing for, breakthrough and treatment of disease and etc.
Yeah, I think it could also, with this kind of models, also when they're improving it, I think it could also accelerate like drug discovery and like enabling personalized treatments. So, because
Yeah,
I think that's also, I don't know if you have it, but also the doctor always gives like a standard version of how to treat the disease. And
yeah.
not everybody is the same. Like we know that.
Yeah, no, 100%. And then also, I know from personal experience that the future of cancer research is really concentrated along AI. And I was at a conference in Miami this summer where I listened to a CEO of a cancer research foundation discuss how AI is really transforming the way that
Mhm.
cancer is treated, not only physically, but also mentally. For example, cancer in children, there's apps being developed off of the data of other children to, kind of talk them through terminal illness or like severe chronic illness and, provide that support. And it's like an AI that's trained off of other children. It's really like incredible stuff. There's a lot to look into there.
Yeah, definitely. But also, yeah, like I said with this as well, yeah, pretty much because I also know the fact like you have also genetic diseases.
Yeah.
And I guess also with a model like this, you could potentially like fight these, or even create. Also, what's interesting is that you could even create potential sustainable biofuels as well.
And that would be really crucial.
Yeah. Though I do have some, you probably already saw it in my notes as well. Like there are some ethical concerns I do have with when it comes to this because I do see the risks of misuse in bioweapon development or genetic manipulation.
Yeah, definitely. That is a very like jarring concept. I mean, with every single development, you're going to see it, there's always as equally as there is a good side, there's going to be like a potential for misuse or severe misuse. I was telling you about this research project that I was doing, but I had like I was doing this research project of social media disinformation and social media
Hmm.
as an aspect of cyber warfare. And social media, definitely has its downsides, but a lot of people use it every day. It's, this like really powerful like method of like connectivity and like access to news and etc. And this kind of what's the word, decentralized,
Hmm.
mechanism of getting authentic reporting and news and whatever. Anyway, just that there's all these great benefits, but it is simultaneously literally a terrain for warfare. And that's been seen in the Russia-Ukraine conflict. That's what my paper was specifically about, or research project rather. So
Hmm.
I think, of course, like with each breakthrough, you're going to have concerns, and that's why discussions about AI ethics is so integral.
Yeah, and also why people should keep their departments as well. Like people who are responsible, so they're ethical AI leads,
Yeah,
to
definitely.
help talk about these things and at least bring these points to their attention so at least they can counteract if something like this does happen.
Yeah.
But that's also why I believe like also collaboration between AI researchers, those that code it, and also the biologists.
Hmm.
Um, because if they work together, they can pretty much shape the future. With this kind of model, they can help, well, yeah, pretty much make a personal diagnosis for a person and also give them personal medicine as well
Hmm.
to solve their disease or make them better, at least.
Definitely. And on the topic of different breakthroughs and kind of progressions, Microsoft has kind of produced a quantum computing breakthrough, which is, huge. I mean,
Hmm.
computing is what lays, kind of ahead of AI. And Microsoft has announced that they achieved a significant milestone towards that in creating fault tolerant quantum systems. So I barely know where to start with this, considering fault tolerant quantum systems. I don't even know how to begin breaking that down.
Yeah, I saw it's not the press release, like the, I don't know, Apple stage kind of thing that they do now almost at every company. They introduced Majorana one chip.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting because they came like right after Google came out with their first like quantum chip.
Hmm.
But theirs is pretty impressive looking at the results and everything. So it definitely does make you rethink quantum computing at scale.
Mm-hmm.
But also makes me think like, okay, it's great that we're doing quantum computing and we're doing all these like very complicated calculations, but the problem is, are we going to understand them? Because I feel like at a certain point these things are going to start making calculations and we're going to get an answer and we're just going to be looking at it being like, okay, what are we supposed to do with this?
Yeah, it is important to have human involvement in these levels. Yeah, I mean, I also kind of wonder what the task force of and like the actual process behind these progressions look like. For example, is this development team like, is it larger? Is it smaller? Like, it's definitely AI enabled. Like, what role is AI playing in creating like these different breakthroughs with quantum computing? Like, how are these structures composed? What is like the ethical, aspect of it? Do they have like an ethics officer? We just had this broad discussion about things being used like in improper ways. Like, how do we know that this is going to be used in the proper way? And then one of my bigger questions is we're kind of seeing this like push and pull with regard to whether something should be nonprofit or for profit. And I'm wondering, like, as this is turned into, something of value, and like actually developed quantum computing, if it will be on that for profit scale or nonprofit, open source or not open source. And obviously, like,
Yeah, and I
it's
mean, also when it comes to this, sorry, I'm also just jumping here. It's also because you see IBM and Google are also now joining in this competition as well. For me, this feels like this is the next tech race.
yeah.
Like, what's it going to mean? Because I feel like they are the only companies right now that have the funding and the money. Oh yeah, the funding pretty much to get this off the ground.
Hmm.
Because I do not see any governments jumping in right now, being like, hey, we have the enough money as well.
Potentially. I mean, I kind of see quantum computing as another frontier, similarly to, you know, how like governments pour money into nuclear warfare. Well, I did research along the lines of cyber warfare, how governments are now having to pour money into that. So it leads
Hmm.
me to believe that there is a potential of government funding for quantum computing as it kind of occupies a similar space with regard to power dynamics.
True, but are they going to wait and see, or are they going to be proactive in it this time? That's the question. Because usually, if you want to get like a budget from the government, you do have to like prove evidence that it's
Yeah,
worth the
potential,
investment.
feasible, yeah. Well, it remains to be seen. I think along the lines of, I think with regard to Europe, actually no, Europe has pledged millions of dollars towards the development of the first quantum computer. They did that last year. It was part of, I would need to Google it to get like the specifics, but I was going to say that Europe would be more hesitant to put funding towards that as opposed to the as opposed to like an American government
Hmm.
or in other countries or conglomerates, but Europe is actually really dedicated towards development of quantum computing on a governmental level. So that's an interesting sort of thing. But yeah, so that's what Microsoft's up to. Challenges ahead could include scalability, the cost of development, like we were mentioning, and
Hmm.
accessibility of quantum systems.
Yeah, and I would also definitely say what would be the practical implications as well of quantum computing in industries like finance, logistics, healthcare, education, you name it.
Yeah, so we kind of have some examples, or we can kind of, hypothesize examples of how it could impact different fields. For example, optimizing global supply chains or, simulating complex molecules
Hmm.
and just, increasing the efficiency and the capabilities of computer systems and etc. But I think a more appropriate picture would just be contingent on it actually being created. We have this breakthrough from Microsoft, and I guess now we're kind of waiting to see what happens next.
I always love doing predictions, but indeed it might be good just to name that this is pretty much a significant milestone towards like fault-tolerant quantum systems,
Yeah.
and indeed see how it goes.
Hmm.
But also, I don't know if you've seen this also, also a bit too for our more general public audience. YouTube Shorts are now being enhanced by generative AI.
Crazy.
I was like, wait, why is there Gen AI in YouTube Shorts? Why would you need it there of all
Jeez.
places?
And also, it's hit TikTok. It's even hit my TikTok feed. So there's this trend going around where there is a deep fake, or I don't know the appropriate term. I feel like deep fake has like a negative connotation, but these are like I mean, obviously deepfake video, just an AI generated video, and it'll be like, point of view, you're waking up in the bubonic plague in the something century. And then you see like the hands in front, and the hands are like going, and there's like people that are very upset on the side of the street, and you're kind of, and I saw this nicer one where it was like, point of view, you're Cleopatra waking up, or point of view, you're Poseidon. And these like really fantastical videos are getting quite popular on TikTok, and they're entirely AI created. I mean, we've seen the immersion of AI generated content, AI enabled content,
Hmm.
and it's only getting more and more popular. And I think with it, kind of being introduced to YouTube Shorts, that's almost like a new terrain.
Yeah, but also because I mean on LinkedIn we talked about the VO2 model that came out at the time from Google DeepMind.
Yeah.
But that's actually the one that's being used indeed to create these short videos that you're talking about,
Yeah.
and only with a text prompt. So I was like, okay, that's interesting. But I also feel like this comes back to pushing the metaverse again, trying to get people back to the VR glasses.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Absolutely. I mean, it's crazy just how easy it is. Back in the day, with regards to YouTube, it was so much like around like when I was, a teenager, it was so much harder to create YouTube content. It was just a completely different like, standard than it is today. Like you would set up the camera, you would do all your own little like you would put the memes on, like everything was kind of, I don't
Hmm.
want to say by hand, obviously it's on a computer, but I think there's a lot more, steps required. I mean, nowadays if you want to produce content, you don't even need to you could type text into a prompt and then get a video out of that prompt and just upload that.
Yeah, I mean, even us now recording this as well. I mean, we're just doing it in yeah, an online studio. I throw it into the studio. I just say, hey, make the how do you call it, the subtitles and stuff, and I'm done. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay.
Versus back in the day, it's so much more, it's so much more effort and so much more intentionality. So yeah, I mean, I like a lot of forms of media are changing, and it's interesting to see how AI integrates with that. I mean, really what it makes me think of is that we need some sort of guardrails to ensure that, older populations and people that don't understand AI generated content are informed that the content that
Hmm.
they're seeing is AI generated. That's been like a major discussion point that I've seen online, and I feel like it should be pushed to the forefront.
And I think also when it comes to, I also see now Spotify as well, where they're allowing audiobooks made with 11 Labs be used as well. So people can start listening to those. But I'm also like, that's not why I'm paying. Well, I'm not paying anyways. I'm
Yeah.
just using the free version. I refuse to pay 11 euros. But those are people that are paying 11 euros are not waiting for AI audiobooks and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, there was a huge controversy around December, or maybe it was end of November of this year, where there's this really acclaimed feature, Spotify Wrapped, where you can see everything that you listen to, and it's like this really, cute, funny, like, take on your year.
Hmm.
This year, there was allegations that it was all AI generated, and it certainly gave that effect. There was so much controversy online, so much criticism because Spotify Wrapped people really look forward to it, and they felt there were all these criticisms like that it wasn't creative enough, that there was no originality, that it was trite, that it, didn't, it really, I mean, the end result anyways was that it did not resonate with users, and it was AI produced. And now what's so funny is that in January they put out job listings for like hiring Spotify rap technician, etc. So I think next year will not be AI generated, it will be
No,
a production of people.
they decided to go the other way.
Yeah.
No, but I think that's also, yeah, because this also the whole Spotify rap thing started because of the students, an intern at the time who came up with the
Yeah.
idea. So I think that was the fun spontaneity, and now they just threw like a huge bucket of money at it, and we're like, okay, have it AI generated, and people were like,
Yeah, no, because it really takes away from the experience. And then also, brilliant idea. I mean, now even Apple Music has it. It's become like not a standard, but it's become like such like an applauded, phenomena. And a phenomena that, or rather, I don't know, event that probably will not be touched by AI as of next year, but that remains to be seen.
yeah, and that's indeed also the question as well. what I'm also noticing now a lot is that people love AI, but they're also at the same time, uh, yeah, how do you call it? Pretty much reevaluating, okay, what really does need to be AI automated,
Yeah.
developed, and what can actually still be done by humans, or what actually does need the human touch.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's a delicate balance, and you can kind of see the push and pull of that as well.
Yeah, and also I feel like I'm like bringing down my own business by saying this, that for some things you do need a human touch, but I'm also just trying to be honest in it as well, because I do see some stuff where I'm like, no,
Yeah. I
don't
mean,
put AI there.
yeah, you were saying even with regards to social media, I mean, like humans want to connect with humans, not robots. So if you produce your own content and you're writing, your own messages, people are more likely to interact with that. Also, people can tell, I think, when social media content, in some regards, in some aspects, is generated. For example, when I'm on Instagram and I see like a specific caption, like I can tell when it's AI generated, and I am less likely to interact.
Yeah, and what I'm also thinking of is maybe having what I would love to get on social media platforms in general is a button where you can press like, I do not want any AI generated content, and that's
Oh yeah.
completely human filtered.
That would be really interesting to see. I mean, I think companies are really going in the opposite direction of that right now. Like, as much as AI is humanly possible that they can create. But that would be, yeah, I think that's a really good kind of concept.
I think that would be a great concept because I know, for example, on Instagram, you do need to like press a button that says like AI labeled. I think on TikTok it's
Yeah,
the
to
same thing as
identify.
well. So I
Yeah,
think, okay, if you have that on, that means I can also press a button that should say, I only want human generated content.
yeah, definitely.
And then yeah, I'm curious to see what will happen. But also, yeah, like you said as well, people really like that human contact.
Yeah,
And also, yeah, go back to that original, yeah, how do you call it? Like originality,
yeah,
and instead of the low effort content.
yeah. And, the element of creativity and authenticity. I think people look for authenticity on social media.
Definitely. I mean, I see that on my LinkedIn as well. I can see the difference between when I like used AI to make a video and when I like actually personally put in my story down. I see like a major increasement in likes. I'm like,
Yeah,
okay, this is interesting.
and there you have it.
Anyway, so yeah, we covered like a variety of topics. I can't believe 30 minutes have already gone by again.
Hmm.
I mean, we discussed indeed the AI design chips that are coming up, Grok 3, Evo 2, Microsoft's quantum computing breakthrough, and also YouTube Shorts now being using generative AI. It's major major things keep happening every week.
Yeah.
So everyone who's listening, hope this helps you a bit more, getting you in the office ready for your Monday morning coffee talk at the coffee machine.
Hmm.
And yeah, please listen to our next episode next week about the new things that are happening in AI because as you can see, it's a one big Kardashian show pretty much now
Yeah. That's one way to put it.
with all the drama happening. And we're here to spill the tea with you guys. Anyways, see you next week and have a great weekend. Bye
Bye.
bye.
Perfect.
And stop, I think.